had this in a marketing course or something. Okay, let's jump into chapter 3 handout. Okay. So this is kind of the split up between the accounting, finance, and economic fields. So this is accounting people in the past. We just looked at historical data. And if you think about like your regular accounting classes, what are they? How much was the income in 2023 or whatever? It's all historical. The sales were made, and this is what the financial statements look like. Or if you're doing journal entries, they did this transaction, and now you put it in the journal. How we put it in the journal to record it. But it's all historical, and that pretty much was the thinking back in the up through the 1950s, 60s was, we only, as accountants, we only deal with stuff that's already happened. We don't look at the future. That's for somebody else to do. We just look at the facts, and we don't dirty ourselves with this future daydreaming stuff. So it was all historical, and it's kind of funny reading back some of these articles from the 1950s and 60s because they talk about accounting as being truth. We only report truth, and you can't have future truth. It has to already have happened. So anyway, that was kind of the mindset. The finance people, a lot of them came out of banking. Finance and management people would make decisions. And the economics was kind of the theoretical. So kind of, you guys have had an econ class, I'm sure. You have like the utilities of enjoyment or satisfaction or whatever they call it. And, it's kind of difficult to, some of the theories in that, they're not very practical. How much is the util of enjoyment worth? Well, it's a fictitious kind of thing that you made up. It's economics. So this is kind of the split up between them. Okay, so Charles T. Horgan, this is the textbook that we are using. One second. Sorry about that. I'm having really bad allergies today, by the way. So if you see me blank out the screen as fast as I can, that's because I'm going to sneeze. All right. And this textbook was groundbreaking. And this is the same book that we're using today. Charles Holmgren died about 10 years ago, but the book is still, such an impact, is still out there. So his whole big thing was that economic theories for decision making and accounting information could be used to actually make decisions. This is the kind of the beginning of managerial accounting. We had cost accounting. How much does something cost? We've had that forever. But this managerial emphasis, this was brand new. This was something that no one had really, not no one, but virtually no one had really worked out. In other words, this kind of data can be used to make future-oriented economic theories. And it's based on variable costs, which we'll talk about today, and fixed costs, which we'll also talk about today. What do I do? And these costs are by behavior, not by what they are. We'll talk about that in a second. So it is a kind of a different way of thinking. It is how the costs behave as production increases, basically, is what we look at. Unlike our regular accounting that we have, where someone tells you a transaction, you put it down in the correct account, and it goes in with the assets or whatever and all that kind of stuff. In this type of accounting, we really don't care what it is. Is this equipment? Doesn't matter. How does it behave? That's what matters, because then we can determine what the a decision, make a decision with it. So, completely different way of thinking, than what we're using. So, banks would open before this book. Banks opened at 9 a.m. and they closed at 3 p.m. Now, I know what you're thinking. Well, who cares? I haven't stepped foot in a bank in years. Back then, you had to. Back in the 1960s, if you wanted to make a deposit in the bank or withdraw money, you had to go to your bank, whatever bank you were dealing with, and between the time hours of 9 and 3, I'm not making that up, those are called banker hours. Usually you had to take off your lunch or something at work to go to the bank. They were only open Monday through Friday, a lot of them. You go to the bank, and between those hours to make a deposit or take out cash. You say, well, okay, what about ATM machines? ATM machines were 30 years in the future. They're 20 at least. So ATM machines didn't exist, and they didn't. Branch banking didn't exist. If you chartered a bank on this corner, that was the bank. Now you may, have another bank that you own. Okay, it's going to be a new charter put on that other bank, and you can't go between them. Branch banking was illegal back then. So you basically had to go to your bank and do your transactions, stand in line, go to the teller, do your transactions. Okay, Charles T. Horn comes along and says, well, wait a minute. Companies are evaluating the data incorrectly, and that they can actually stay open much longer and be more profitable if they do it. And so this changed, things like banking, changed dramatically. Grocery stores. Grocery stores would open usually at 8 a.m. and they would close at 6 p.m. Some stores would be a little more progressive and have once a week where they'd be open till 8, like on Friday or something. But that's when, if you wanted to go to the grocery store, that is when you did it. The reason I bring this up is because this is one of the really stark contrasts in my life was my first 7-Eleven. And it came about because of Charles T. Horngren. It was unbelievable. It was a store that opened at 7 in the morning. You could actually go there on your way to work. It opened at 7 in the morning, and it closed at 11 at night, which was unheard of. And I remember one time back in the day, coming home at like 10 at night, and there's a store that's all lit up. Nothing, the whole streets were dark. There's no one was on the street. Like at 10 o'clock at night, there was nothing on. And this thing was like a beacon. But anyway, 7-Eleven came up with the idea that, look, we don't have to look at all the costs. We have to look at what they call the marginal costs. And that we can stay open till 11 at night as long as we cover these little extra costs that we have to do it. The building's still there. That's fine. As long as we can turn the lights on and have someone working there, as long as we cover those costs, we can stay open. Completely different mindset from thinking, So you had these grocery stores that are closing at 5 or 6 at night, and then you had this store that was open from 7 in the morning till 11 at night. Unheard of. Just, crazy. And people talked about it, like, wow, did you see that? It's called 7-Eleven. So anyway, these all came about because of Charles T. Horngren. By the way, the book we're using, just to tell you a little bit about it, it was so groundbreaking. The first editions of this book are worth thousands. That statement used to mean more, but because all the books are thousands, not quite that high, but for the bookstore. But anyway, yeah, because they were so radically changed, and so many of the top business schools, there weren't that many of them. All of them adopted this book. And even when I was going through school in the 90s, early 90s, and after that, the Charles D. Horngren book was so popular that many publishers didn't even make a managerial accounting book. There was no reason. They weren't going to sell it. You had to have the Charles T. Horngren textbook. And if you didn't, you had to kind of explain why you didn't. Why aren't you using the Horngren book? What is this? What book is this? Okay, why aren't you using the Horngren book? That was kind of what you would get if you weren't using the Horngren book. It was that, popular. Okay. Yeah, he was obviously a multi-millionaire. He did well by putting that out. All right. Okay, I'm back. Okay, so this is the normal financial accounting statement. This is what you do in your accounting 210, and all your financial accounting courses. We have sales minus our cost of goods sold. So these are sometimes called the product costs. So we break up our financial income by product costs, and these are called period costs. So the normal financial statement, we break everything up by product cost, the cost of goods sold, and we have period costs. How much for the period, rent, and all those things that are for the period. We come up with our income. Managerial accounting, this is one we're going to be using in this class extensively. It breaks it up between variable costs, which we'll talk about in a second, and fixed costs. And we'll also have net income. These net incomes are not, by the way, these are not the same. These don't equal. They're two different things. Same down here. And even the income can be different. But we'll find out that this managerial financial statement is much easier to use, and it's better for making decisions. Okay, so this is what we're looking at. So making decisions. Variable costs. Variable costs are costs that will increase in total as production increases. So the more that you produce, the more it costs. Okay, so a bicycle shop. Let's say bicycle manufacturer. So we're making bicycles. What would be a variable cost? A cost that would increase as we made more bicycles. The idea? You can put it in chat if you want. So we're making bicycles. And we want to find what costs would increase, what things would increase in cost in total. Tires. Yep, pretty good. So we need to get tires, for a bicycle. We need wheels. We need someone to work on them, more of the labor. And so, these are all things that are going to increase as in total as we produce more. Okay, fixed costs. Our costs that will what? What do you think? You guys may have had this in other classes too. This by the term fixed. What are they going to do as production increases? Yep, good. Will it stay the same? Oops. Production. So stay the same or be unchanged or however you want to phrase it, but they're not going to. They're going to stay exactly the way they were in total. Okay, for a bicycle manufacturer, what things would stay the same? Yes, good. Rent. Rent would stay the same if they were if they own the building. Usually, the mortgage is the same. I sneezed and the Zoom gave me the message that I'm muted. Okay, rent, mortgage, insurance, maybe. All those things. Those are things that aren't going to change. Whoever's renting you the building, $1,000 a month or whatever it is, they don't really care how many things you make. They just want their rent, so it'll be fixed. Okay, let's start doing calculations with those. Now, I'm going to show you kind of a way that I like to show doing this, and that is, you'll notice we have sales minus the variable cost equals a contribution margin. And then from the contribution margin, we subtract out to get our income. All right, so what I'm going to show you is that we can actually, you can actually get rid of this. There's nothing wrong with having it in there, but if you had sales minus the variable cost minus the fixed cost, that would also give you your net income. This is the way I usually teach this. It just makes it easier to use sometimes. It's not that the contribution margin doesn't exist, it does, but for making, it's just kind of a stopping point. And if we just want our income, we really don't need to worry about the contribution margin. So this is what we're going to use for this, at least this chapter. Basically, sales minus variable cost minus fixed cost is our income. Okay, coming down here, calculate the income of 1,000 users. So calculate the given income. Okay, so I'm going to make this is our new managerial income statement. I have no idea why I have such huge letters in there. Do you guys have huge letters in yours? You must. Okay, well, all right. So let's see. We're going to start out with our sales. Now, if we sold 1,000 units and our selling price is $50, what were our sales? So 1,000 units, we sold each of them at $50.
I think it's 50,000.
So we're going to take 1,000 times the $50, and that equals 50. So 50,000. This is money coming in.
I got a quick question. We find this document in the Microsoft Word file, right? Or where can we find this?
It's in your email. It should be online. Let me see if you go to the all assignments and exams, if you go down, you'll see it there.
Oh, okay. Sorry. I was looking the wrong file. Thank
Yeah,
you.
it's also in the email.
Okay. Thank you.
Oops, sorry about that. Okay, I'm ready. Okay, so this is money coming in. So 50,000 is coming in. We have our variable costs. So each one of these is going to cost us $30. So the more for instance, this would be like tires. If you're, I don't know what these are, but making bicycles, maybe part of this is tires. We pay $2 each for 2 tires, and so $4 of that would be whatever. Okay, so the total variable cost per unit is 30. So we'll take 1,000. And these are costs, so these are money going out. $30,000, right? Okay, and we still have our fixed costs. Move this up. And our fixed costs are 4,000. And this is money also going out. So our income, sometimes called operating income. Let's call it income. Is what 50,000 minus
It's 16,000.
18,000. Thank you. So this is our income. Okay, see if you do the one down below. Everything's the same except that instead of selling 1,000 units, we'll sell 2,000. was talking to myself for a while there. Sales combined is called revenue. They're the same thing. So sorry, my allergies are just killing me today. Taking 10 Benadryl. As I'm even awake. All right. I think that's right. Yeah. What's the income? 64. 36. 36,000. You want to check that? You know what? I better check it. Yeah, 36,000. Okay, so this is the income. Okay, so true or false? If you double your production, your income will double. Yeah, false. It's more than double. 2 times 16,000 is what, 32,000, and here we have 36,000. Okay, so why is that? Why are we making more than twice as much income on the bottom? We sell 2,000.
Same fixed cost, right?
Yep. These fixed costs don't change. And so this is why this is why we can actually use this method, this managerial income statement, to actually figure out what's going to happen. We can do what ifs. What if we sell 1,000? What if we sell 2,000? And this is something you cannot do with this financial income statement. I like both of them, but this financial income statement, cost of goods sold. Think about cost of goods sold. Some of it is rent on the factory, so there's some fixed cost. There's materials, the tires for the bicycles, so those are variable. You don't know what these costs are going to do if you double your sales. You have no idea. But with this managerial income statement, we can actually figure out what's going to happen to our income. And again, notice, unlike in the other accounting books, it doesn't say what these costs are. It just says, okay, these are the variable costs per units, and these are the fixed costs in total, and that's it. Oh, I forgot to leave my out here. So by changing around, these to variable and fixed, how they behave rather than what they are, that's how we can actually use this to go with the income. Okay, let's go to page 2. Give me 1 second here. Okay. Now we have 2 manufacturing costs, so we could actually do 2 lines of it. Usually you want to combine those and put those into one. So I'm going to combine them when I do it. Is it 45? So I'm just going to combine these into one variable cost per unit. They tell us that some of it is from selling and some of it is from manufacturing, but we just need the total. So I'm just going to combine those two into one variable cost per unit. You don't have to, you can leave them separate. I think I'm just going to put it in sales. So 700 units were sold. This is getting ridiculous. By the way, if it looks like I'm crying, it's just the allergies. I'm really not that emotional about accounting. All right, so 60 times. Taylor really gets into accounting. Emotional, he's crying. All right. So this is money coming in. And then we have our variable costs. And again, I combine those into one. You can leave them separate. You could do, there's nothing wrong with doing them separately if you want. $1,500, and these are going up. Okay. Fixed cost. 3,000. $7,500. I think. I'm gonna check that. Okay, so again, we can do what if? What if we sold 700 units? What would the income be? Can't do that with regular accounting. But with this cost value profit, they got a managerial income statement where we break it up between variable and fixed costs. We know how the costs behave, and that's all we need to know. Okay, go ahead and do the second one if you would. Keep forgetting to come back after sneezing. So again, we can calculate the income, how it would change going from 800 units to 700 units to 800 units. And you can also play a lot of what ifs with this. You know, if we increase our advertising by $1,000, we can sell 800 units. Should we do it? So would you pay out $1,000? Okay, so here's our decision. $1,000 in advertising will increase our sales from 700 to 800 units. Should we pay for the extra advertising? Given given these two managerial income statements. What do you think? You're a business person. You're selling 700 units. You're making $7,500. They figure out that either that or someone comes to you and that they can increase from 700 to 800 if you pay extra $1,000. Should you do it? You put it in chat. You can private it in chat to me if you want. So this is your income at 700 units.
Potentially.
Yeah. Notice that the increase here is the income is 1,500, right? Right. So this is the increase in the income. I do. I changed it. Oh, I changed the color. So we have an increase in income from 7,500 to 9,000. So would you pay $1,000 to get $1,500 back? Yeah, you're right. You'd probably do that as many times as you could. I mean, you'd rather just increase that by 800 units on its own, but a lot of times that doesn't work that way. But if you pay an extra $1,000 and increase it, you pay out an extra 1,000, you get back 1,500. You do that as many times as you can. So, that's the beauty of this thing. You can actually make decisions. Let's take a break. A little early, but we're going to kind of start a different topic. So let's say take a break and be back at 2:56. Okay. So now we're going to look at the break-even point analysis. Something called the cost value of profit. Now, I'll show you why break-even is a little. Oh, well, let's just do it. So when you break even, your target income is $0. In other words, you didn't make any money, you didn't lose any money. You broke even. Has anyone looked at this one and figured it out? Yeah. So here's the thing, we don't know what the units are. So this is what we're really looking for are the units. So how many units would we have to sell to break even, to have an income of 0? How many units do we have to sell? I apologize. We may have a short class today. I'm very allergic to something. All right. Okay. Well, I'll show you the way I show this. Now, when I show it, I'm going to put X in whenever we have units because we're trying to solve for X. Okay, so I'm going to put this in a formula. Okay, so let's see our sales revenue. Now we know that we're selling each of these for $70. We don't know how many units there are. So we'll just use X. And same thing with our variable costs. Our variable costs, we know that they're $50. Oops, wait, let me do something else here. Okay. And again, we don't know how many units it's going to take to break even, so we'll just put an X in there. And fixed costs are always just the same. Ah. And at break even, our income is 0. Okay. Oh wait, let me color coordinate this one too. Okay, so back to our math class. 50x, no, excuse me, 70x minus 50x is how much? Oh, you guys are toying with me. Yep, good. So this will be 20x. Okay, we want to get all the numbers on one side and the x on the other. So we want this fixed cost moved down to the other side. How would we do that? Yep. So what I'm going to do is come down here. Oh. So I am going to add 60,000 to each side. So 0 plus 60,000 is 60,000. Okay, hold on. Okay, so this is our new equation. I'm going to move it down here just to get them a little closer. Okay, so how do we solve for x?
Divide.
Yep. So we're going to divide each side by 20. And we will end up with x equals
3,000.
2,000. So that's how many units we need to break even. Okay. So a break even in units will be 3,000. Now, our break even, sometimes when people ask for break even, they ask for it in dollars. Well, we know we're selling 3,000 units. And how much are we selling each of those units for?
What's the question again?
We sold 3,000 units. And so someone, let's say we're in a meeting and we say somebody, well, we need to sell 3,000 units to break even. They'll say, well, what's that in sales? What's that in the sales dollars? How much are we selling each of these for?
Would that be 70?
Yep. So break even in sales dollars will look like this. The same 3,000 units. times 70 equals some number.
21,000.
I think it's the 210. I better do it.
Not 21,000. I'm sorry. 210,000.
Yeah. Okay, good. So sorry, this is absolutely crazy, my allergies. All right. Oh, I put that in wrong. Hold on. Okay, so this would be our dollar sales that we'd have here. So we sell 3,000 units, give it to them in units if they ask for it. Or 210,000. And basically, those are the same, saying the same thing. All right. Okay, coming down here. So up there is what if we want to make a break even. But most companies don't want to just break even. So what if they wanted an income of 20,000? How would this change? As it turns out, most of it's going to be exactly the same. There's only going to be one number that changes. And what's that?
The operating income.
Yep. Okay. Excuse me. So we're going to go ahead and everything else is still the same. So this is so you'll notice these first steps are exactly the same. The only thing that's going to change here is this. It's no longer 0, it's 20,000. So we got to cover 80,000 now. So cover our fixed costs, but then we want another 20,000 on top of it. So this is what we're going to do to figure that out. Everything is exactly the same. This is ridiculous. I'm not sure if we're going to go on the whole class here. Okay, and just like before, we're going to divide each side by 20. And so we will get that x equals
4,000.
4,000. Thank you. Oops. X equals 4,000 units. And if we want the dollar sales, we're going to multiply each of those by the same 70.
Yeah, giving you 280,000.
Thank you. And again, these are actually the same thing. It's just one's in dollars and one's in the units. Okay. We'll do one more. Problem number 4. We'll do this one together, and then we'll. I don't know what I'm going to do. I'm going to. I think these are as bad as I've ever had the allergy. Okay, I'm going to combine both of these two. You notice we have two variable costs here. I'm going to combine these two. Actually, I think I had them green last time. You could leave them separate. It would be kind of a problem in this one because I mean you can do it. It'll still work out, but you're going to have more. You're going to have two calculations for the variable cost on here. You have to do one more combining. So because these are both variable costs, we'll just add them together. And again, for making decisions, as odd as it sounds, we really don't need to know what they are. Okay. Like I said, units equals x. So we don't know the units. So that's why we're doing it, that's why that's the X. Let me show up here. Okay. Okay, so revenue. 100, oops. X, we don't know how many units we're gonna sell to break even. Variable costs, I combined them into 68. If you did it separately, you'll have to do two of those. Okay. Okay. $32. Okay, so this is our equation we have to solve for next.
It'd be 3,000.
3,000. Let me get these closer to so. Oops. It's a minute. This is wrong. Oh, there it is. Okay. Divide both sides by, first of all, okay, you said x equals 3,000. Okay, 3,000 units. We can find the sales. We're selling each of those for $100. That's the selling price.
300,000.
3,000. Thank you. Okay, so this will be our sales to break even. Oh, I know what I'm gonna do. Oh, I don't need to do anything. But I do need to do. I'm gonna show you guys something quick about this. Remember how we did the Okay, so sorry. So adjusted. Okay, so this would be 400 units times 68. 321, 200. Is it, wait, 2 million? I've done the first one wrong. Hold on. I had an extra zero on the first one. I must have. I did. I'm sorry. Hey, that was, I was looking at that one thinking, why is that still 96? And then I realized it's fixed cost, idiot. Of course it's going to be 96. Okay. I might be out all my data. Well, give me 1 second. I keep doing this incorrect. I am not well. Hey, okay. I kept coming up with a crazy number. So that will be our income, as we expected. Okay, let's stop here. We'll finish this up next week. Okay, so we're not going to turn in this chapter 3 handout just yet. We will turn it in later. So there's nothing to turn in tonight, unless you did I mute it again? Oh, no. There's nothing to turn in today, except for the exam. I know some of you already turned it in. If you already turned it in, then you're done for this week. But if you haven't turned the exam in, make sure you get try to get the exam in by Friday. Now, if you can't get it in by Friday, not the end of the world at all. You just have to turn it in at a later point. But your grade's going to look bad until that test gets in, because it'll go in initially as a 0 if you haven't done it by Friday. Any questions?
Nope.
Okay, well, I'm so sorry I'm all goopy today, but I'll be better next week. All right, see you guys in a week.
Bye bye.
Bye.
Rest of your day.
Okay.